Hello everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We will give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes and much more. This episode is brought to you by Yogi Pipe, a line of apparel created with eco-friendly materials by artisans from all over the world. Let's discover more about them and their collection on www.yogipipe.surf. Hello everyone and welcome to the 15th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Thank you once again to the thousands of you that are following us every month. Be with us a true inspiration, working in various creative fields, an artist, a surfer, a skater, and a minister of the Hot Rod Church. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brianbent. Let's discover more about him, future project, and much more. Hello, Brian, and welcome to the show. Where are you today?
I'm on the headlands at San Onofre, waiting in line to go surf.
Amazing. It's a good way to start the morning, right? Go and surf.
Yep.
The first question that I have for you, since you're going to surf, is what is the most important thing in surfing, in your opinion?
It's probably just realizing that it's all a flow. Surfing is kind of, a flow. The blood flows through our veins, and good memories or bad memories. We don't want the bad memories flowing through, but everything, is a flow. And sometimes you have to go through some adversity, learning, or a board that doesn't work. But ultimately, the best thing about surfing to me is just learning how to relax and let it roll,
Yeah, definitely.
And regardless of what board you're riding and where you're at, everything always has to be, one year I was in France and it was huge and I had to pray for courage to go out. And I got one wave and I surfed it the best I could and I let it go, baby.
Yes, exactly. With not too much thinking, right? And surf can be also a space of meditation, correct?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, surfing, I always say surfing, God's peace, and the rest is, and surfing is like icing on the cake.
Okay. Definitely. Do you remember your first surfboard, and do you still have it?
No, I wish I did. My uncle was a pro surfer, and he gave me a single fin. I literally started surfing right before twin fins. So he gave me a single fin, and I think it was either a Rick or Becker. Rick surfboards turned into Becker surfboards, but he was 10 years older than I was, and so he gave me a lot of my things that he was like. I looked up to him and dressed like him, and he would give me his old surfboards. But my first surfboard was a single fin. I want to say first year Becker surfboard, so maybe 80, 81.
Nice. And of course you don't have it anymore, like has been.
No, I have some of my longboards that I've had since the 80s, but I don't have that board.
Okay. How do you translate your passion for surf into your art?
Again, it gets back to the inspiration. Well, I'm really kind of into the 50s art, and so I really like the expressionistic, stuff that came out of the 40s and 50s. I really love something that has kind of something to it. It's like a leather jacket that you've worn for a long time. It develops character as it goes. So I always try to just take the character of surfing and try to put it into my paintings, because ultimately I want to paint something that I really like as well, and I'm inspired to do. So I usually don't stop, or either I stop and I'm really happy with it, or I stop and I'm a bit frustrated and I'll change it. But it's always inspiration, for surfing or music, jazz or whatever, and then to the canvas, put it to the canvas.
And all this passion, they are coexisting with you at the same time, or you have like a favorite one, like music, art?
surfing?
No, it's usually like a platter. It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It usually takes everything. Like I don't really, if I go into my studio after surfing, and I'm inspired and I don't have music on and something's missing, you know? So it's kind of everything coming together. I think painting is kind of like, I mean, you don't always have the luxury of having music and being in your studio or whatever. But when I'm in my studio, I usually, have my coffee, I have lunch, and then I go into my studio and first thing I do is turn on jazz music,
Nice.
Generally, or like Henry Mancini style, like easy listening music from like the 50s.
Okay. And in your opinion, since we're talking about music, what is the most important thing in songwriting?
Oh, in songwriting, it's just like art. I think it's somebody that has a gift that conveys what they're trying to. I don't know. Some stuff's really spontaneous. Like I have a 10-inch record from Barney Kessel, I think, and so he's doing like covers of like popular music from the 50s, and then he has this one that's something about something on Wilshire, and that's Wilshire Boulevard, and where it was an experimental where he took an expressionistic view of driving on Wilshire in Hollywood and put it to music in the early 50s, and it turned out so good. Or like Shorty Rogers does this song called Martian Bossa Nova in the early 60s. On YouTube, you can go to Frankly Jazz, and Frankly Jazz was like a show every week, and it was all the West Coast jazz that would play. And, they would make some of these improv songs. So either really true, like classic songs, from that era, or like you can even improv, they were kind of doing what painters do and getting the inspiration and then putting it to music. So it can go both ways.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Let's go back to painting. Now we did talk about music. What is the source of inspiration? I mean, you have the surf, then I've seen you have like architecture. Then what inspires you when you create?
Well, the whole era, I've always liked that era. It's pretty plain and simple. I like stuff from the teens. I like stuff from the 30s, the 40s, kind of the modern movement, or like, but by the time the 50s hit, there was or the 40s or 50s, there was something. It's really funny. Like the Lord healed me from a lot of anxieties and fears. But I'm thinking as I'm talking to you, sometimes in the 50s there was, the beat generation. Some people were just trying to figure things out, and maybe some of their art was a bit edgy.
Yeah.
So I don't have those fears, but my art, for some crazy reason, how I am has a bit of an edge to it, and so I always like to listen to nice music because and apply that to the art, or surfing, something that's real, that's really wholesome. Like if you're surfing, like I have a 1920s style hot curl board on my car right now, and it is so hard to surf. It's very heavy, and it's hard to paddle. And I could surf my regular board, but I choose to ride these old style boards. But then that transposes like over to like, once you get a wave on it, you're like, wow, this is so different and so nostalgic. And then I throw that into my painting. So that's kind of where I am all the time.
What is the last painting that you created?
The last painting I did was a green background, like a light green background, very minimalist, with a surfer actually nose riding. And I don't do too much nose riding anymore. But the way the figure came out, it was like, everybody nose rides, a lot right now at stand-up. So, and so I just kind of, sometimes I do them trimming, sometimes they're nose riding, so it was just a figurative surfer with a kind of a serene green background, really light. I try to get a really neat background. If I can get a really neat background in the wave, and before the surfer hits it, that's like if the background's really good, it's really hard to mess up your painting with a figure.
Okay. And which material you use to paint? I saw in your website you're using enameling. You use a specific material for you.
Oh yeah. No, right now, I did the interior for Becker Surfboards for 20 years, we had 6 stores, and they were like, I designed them, and I did the merchandising, and they were like three-dimensional canvases. So I literally would paint on everything, wood, metal. I would even weld designs in metal, using my MIG welder. But now it seems like I'm pretty much on canvas or wood with enamels and ink. I mix ink with the enamels as well.
Okay. You were saying about your surfboard that actually you are carrying to surf right now, like 60, very heavy, I guess, very heavy surfboard.
It's almost 80 pounds.
It's a good exercise, huh? It's a good exercise. It keeps you young.
Yeah, it is.
And
you have to have the guts, the guts to do it. And I figured I might as well do it while I can,
Yeah. In effect, if you're surfing and that board hits somebody, it's like kind of a weapon, right? It's so heavy.
Yeah, but any board, like, you always just have to be extra careful, but any board can be a weapon. The name Kootbox was kind of a derogatory term for a board that was really odd looking compared to the regular that people were surfing. They kind of look kooky,
Yeah.
So they called them kind of Kootboxes. But I'll tell you what, if you look at the old photos from the 30s and 40s, I've talked to a couple of the legends, and they all say how fast these boards are. They are so fast. And what happened was they were the first light surfboard. I mean, most of the surfboards, were like 70 to 100 pounds before the Kootbox came out, and then the Kootboxes were about 45 pounds. So you could imagine everything was cut in half. Yeah. And when you have a lighter board, like when I ride my Kootbox compared to this board, the Kootboxes are so light, and they're so fast, and they just fly across the wave, where the hot curl sits in the water so heavy, and I don't think that the Kootboxes were really good for California and everywhere, because they were light. Tom Blake put a fin on it, and you need a fin, you need a fin for this. So for the Kootbox, because it will slide out on you.
Okay. So we're gonna finish our interview with a short Q&A session. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden.
The best surfboard I've ever ridden is the one I still have, and I call it the Rocket Plank, and it's a double hull, very fast surfboard, and it was made by the son of the father who owned the glass shop for Becker Surfboards. The other board I have, the best surfboard I ever ridden, was the one I rode yesterday, which is the 12-foot Kootbox, but it's very light, and it was made with European like 3/8 plywood, and it's really fast. I call it the cat's meow. And then I have my last competitive surfboard that in 1994. It's called a Tremulux, and it was like a Lance Carson nose with like a Rick UFO tail. So I still have that board. Yeah. So my ultimate board, probably, if I had to choose a board out of all my boards, it would probably be between the Rocket Plank, the 9.7, or my Kootbox, my 12-foot Kootbox that was made actually by my neighbor John Sanders.
Okay. Your favorite shaper?
Well, the crazy thing is my friend that I really, he's not a favorite. I don't do favorites, because I really like John Mandelli as a person. I've watched him when he was little, grow up and be a really good shaper. But every shaper is like a guitar. How can you say you have a favorite guitar? So, yeah. But I'll tell you this. The most creative person and artistically person that I could relate to was my friend Kim Francis from the Basque Country in Spain, and now he's out here, and and he's making surfboards right here in my area, right here in Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah, when I rode his boards over in France, they rode so well, and they're so put together so well. And he and I dig the same kind of old school, new school stuff. So I'd say probably Tim Francis. He's supposed to be. I think he's going to shape me a board coming up this summer. So
nice. Looking forward to try that as well. Right?
Yeah.
Your favorite song?
Oh, baby. Oh, my favorite song.
Hard question to answer, huh?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I really liked this song by Jimmy Dolan called Hot Rod Race. And it was about a Ford Mercury, racing. And then I also like the song Stardust, the classic, I think it's Carmichael, Stardust, written in 1927.
Wow.
I think Stardust is my favorite song.
Okay.
And my grandmother is with the Lord now, and my grandmother and my mother and my son, and I get special gifts, with my family that are not here. And my grandmother was almost like my best friend when I was growing up, because she let me have a lot of freedom to work, do whatever. My grandfather had passed away when I started surfing, actually going into high school. And because I started kind of really getting into surfing right when I got into high school. And so Stardust is probably my utmost favorite song.
Okay. Your favorite surf spot?
Oh, right where I surf, baby. Standing Oak.
Definitely.
Either, yeah, I'd say San Onofre, yeah. Although when my soul gets really tired, I like to go to Doheny as well, because I grew up going to Doheny. So Doheny or Santa.
Okay. Your favorite surfer?
Mickey Dora.
Okay. And the last question is a little bit unusual. We ask to everybody. Has nothing to do with surf or art or anything. It's just your best relationship advice.
Oh, a guy one time told me at church when we were doing the Hot Rod Church at a pizza bar place, a pizza place. And he said, as far as your wife, just stay best friends. Always stay best friends. So that's my best advice, I think.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And if your wife is your best friend, you have definitely a beautiful life. I agree with you.
Oh my God, I could start crying right now because of that.
Cool. Brian, thanks a lot for being on the show with me today, and I look forward to talk to you very soon.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Ciao.
All right.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.templeofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!